Welcome back, my dear students, on the chapter 11, International Human Resource. And we'll check out here, will it be differ than the local human resource? Of course, internationally work. When you work especially with companies like multinational companies, where you have a diversity of ethnics and people from a lot of different backgrounds, of course, the nature of the human resource will be changed because we said before that we are working in open system. Open system means is affected by all the environmental changes around you. Political environment, economical environment, legal environment, all this affect in your body. I mean, the body is the organization or the company. All those external factors affect in the company. Therefore, the human resource department, human resource management department, is one part of the whole organization. So it will be affected as well. It will be a part of the affected, partially affected. For that reason, of course, don't expect when you work locally, your company is just local company. It's not like when your company is working in different places in the world or multinational, and it's having a lot of back ethnic people and there is diversity of cultures. In that case, the rule of human resource management is more complicated. Let's see our chapter, and let's first share the screen and see what we are going to talk about in chapter 11 here, learning about international human resource management. So we will go through it. Okay. Yep. So describe the types of organization forms, how the organizations looks like, and use companies with international operations. Explain the economic, political, legal, like I told you, the factors which will affect the human resource. All this will affect the human resource. Describe recruitment and selection for international operations. Do you have the same process when you recruit a local employee or worker? Then that the same standards when you recruit someone who will come to work for you from another country will be the same or different. Discuss the unique training and development needs for employees working in international locations. Who will work in international locations will be more trained for the environment around him, for all around him. The skills are changed. The level of technology is a change. It's not constant. It's not the same. Discuss the consideration when managing the performance of employees working in international. Are the same standards? Are you using the same standards locally and internationally or no? Of course, no. Outline the characteristics of good international reward. Of course, the reward will be different. If you give a reward for the worker here, it must be different than the reward in money units than you give it to someone in our country of the any other country. It will be different. Outline the characteristics, explain how labor relations practices differ around the world. See, differ. So it is not the same. The practices of the human resource are different in between when you compare between working locally, and working internationally in a multinational company or overseas companies. Okay, managing across borders, we have see those are the kinds of what we can say companies doing business in another country. This is the meaning of across borders. Those are the companies which are doing business in other countries. Those are multinational companies, international companies, transitional companies, and global. That's the four terminologies are for working overseas, leaving, passing the border of your country and working overseas. If you see as example, a company like Volkswagen, it's a German one. They are having factories In Brazil, a company like Mercedes, they have a factory in Turkey. So those are working multinational. How does the global environment influence management? Economic factors such as the trade agreements, of course, the trade agreements, the customs and duties between the countries, GATT, JET, which you heard about before, and this economical agreement between the countries, the coalitions, the cartels, all those, how far the trade is free, okay? Political legal factors also affect, like we said before. How does the global environment influence management? Yes, it influence management, and therefore it will influence as well the human resource management. The same thing. So, such as poorly protected property rights. So, the rights of property are protected in some countries, while it's not covered very well in other countries, right? The cultural factors are different. Yes, they are different, such as education. Level of education in Canada is not like the level of education in some countries in Africa. No, slightly different. Social structures also, how the structure of the society is, it's like a cultural factors and religious beliefs. This also affect the religious beliefs also. One of the reasons which is affecting the global environment, the way the global environment affect the organizations through also the religious. Like I told you in the start of the class, if you work in a Muslim country, there are some things for the Muslims, some of their cultures, which is different than other religious countries as well. If you will work in a Muslim country in Saudi Arabia, they don't eat pork, they don't have liquors, so you cannot work in a pork factory there. You cannot do liquors work business there. No. Yeah, we come now to Hofstede's cultural dimensions. Hofstede actually it is organizational culture or the culture model of Hofstede, which has five different dimensions. The power distance, and the power distance means how are you using as a manager your authority? Are you using the authority which the hierarchy comes give you? Like I'm the boss. When I tell you something, you must do it, or I will punish you, or I will what? No. This is a kind. Or is the relationship between you and your people working with you like one family? You love them and they love you. Okay. Individualism, those are in the societies, most of them in the Western societies. Individualism means not like a family, they don't live in big groups, everyone by his own. While the collectivism means a big family, a big group. We work together, we like to work together, we are together, right? So this is the collectivism. Masculinity means the manhood, man, the strong, muscles from muscles. Femininity means woman. What is the meaning of this? It means that there are some societies which prefer and favor the man against the woman. As example, if you are working in some of the Eastern countries, they prefer, like in Saudi Arabia or whatever, they prefer men than women in work at work, and they give them the priority. If you are hiring someone and you see a man coming to you or a woman, you will prefer a man to work with you because the woman is her motion or her action is very limited in some countries like Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and these countries. Uncertainty avoidance. Some societies they like not to take with the risk. They like everything to be stable and safe. Confucian dynamism. This is also another point. Short term and long term objectives, which we talk about it. Indulgence versus restraints. Are there too much rules in this society, or not too much rules, like everything is left, like everything is written on the board, on the wall, all the instructions are there, or a lot of them you know them, you don't need to know to write them. This is one of these dimensions as well. Okay, we'll watch this video now about the culture, and we'll check the Hofstede culture dimensions. After this, we'll write it down, which we talk about, and uh, the variables which contains the Hofstede culture dimension. We'll know it. The five main things, like masculinity and femininity, power distance, and long-term objectives and short-term objectives. All those will know it. Search the difference between the Indian and the Canadian culture in the terms of Hofstede model. This is very important question, and it is a question target for you. Again, I'm saying it's a question target. I mean, it might be in one of your quizzes, or in the midterm, or in the final. So pay attention to this question. It's very important. I want you to compare between, based on the uh, the model of Hofstede. I want you to compare between the Canadian culture and the Indian culture as example. Okay, as example. Of course, some of the students might say, "Okay, we are not Indians, we are Chinese." Okay, compare between the Canadian culture and the Chinese culture. Some would say, "I'm Korean." Compare between the Canadian culture and the Korean culture based on the Hofstede model with the five dimensions. Actually, it's the main dimensions are five. We mentioned here more than five, but the main are five. Okay. Now we will go based on the culture and based on what we know now, that the variables around the organization affect the organization, and therefore it affects the human resource management as well. Now we will come to another point, which is how will the Canadian companies work locally and how they will work internationally regarding the job of human resource management. Will it make a difference? Of course, we said it will make a difference. Let's see. Canadian versus international HRM. Greater emphasis on relocation, employee orientation. Yeah, if a Canadian want to go outside, to go out of Canada to work anywhere, they have to orient him for the new job. And the employee services require the specific countries. More complexity, that's true. It's more complex when you work anywhere, but not at Canada. It's more complex because you have to know the culture of all other countries which you deal with, you know? Okay. Uses HRM, Human Resource Management, to monitor international assignments as well. International recruitment. Okay, we heard the word recruitment before, but we didn't hear the word international. Okay. Recruitment is to get employees to work for you. This to get the employees to work for you. This is the recruitment. International means you will bring them from overseas to work in your company. Okay. Host country nationals or third country nationals, the people from third country or from the host country, or transitional teams. Let's see this. International recruitment, it will bring for you the people who have talent from all over the world, who have talents, who are very excel, who are very good, who are very clever, who are very genius. So you will have them when you make uh, internationally recruitment. Okay, Brands having a reputation for what people can excel. Compensation, and the compensation also differ, ensuring that the rewards program is competitive and fits the local circumstances as well as what applies in the home country. Yeah, so it's the duties of the human resource management is getting greater and bigger and larger because of what? Because of the international recruitment. Development, increasing employees' skills and competencies. Competencies means efficiency. Culture, understanding the local environment and what additional supports might be necessary to be taken. Okay, so the culture, because we said the culture make differences, and those differences will increase the more duties for the human resource management. International selection. Begin with self identification. Identify yourself. Create a candidate pool. And at the same time, here on self identification means the people which you want, how their own experience, how their own skills. Okay. You will make a pool for the candidates. Ensure person job fit. Make sure that this job is matching with this person's capabilities and abilities. They are all going together in the same way. Ensure person's location fit. Okay, if I get this guy to work for me here, would it be a good idea? There will be a matching or no? Considers family person's family as well. In the international, you will consider the person's family, not he only, his family as well. Because working internationally makes you care about all around. Consideration when selecting an expatriate. Expatriate means stranger, coming from another country. Expatriate. Ability to do the job. You have to take care that he's able to do the job, able to speak different languages. Don't bring someone for international company or recruit someone from other country and he does not talk the language of your country. No. Ability to adapt to a new environment. Make sure that he's already with the new environment, the culture of the different countries and this and that which he will work in. He's okay with it or no. Ability to make effective decisions. And this is okay locally and internationally. Ability to work in teams. Is he okay to work in group? Which we call in the Hofstede model individualism or collectivism. He is a collectivism to work, within a group. He does not he does not work to be in isolation, work in isolation than the others. No. Ability to respect diversity. Is he able, this candidate, is he able to respect the culture of the other people culture of other places or no? International training and development contains language training, cultural sensitivity training, training the entire family, career development, repatriation. Those are things which you need when you develop international program for training. It's almost like the local one which we studied before, but the dimensions of the working abroad, the external environment, when you are working in overseas, this is more complicated than working in your country. So you have to take care of this. The career development, focus on it so much. And training for the entire family because they must know where they are leaving, the place, the new place which they will live in, the new country or the new place. So based on what you studied here, do you think that training locally is similar to training for international jobs? Do you think? No. When you are working in India or China now, does it be the same than when you come to work in Canada? No. There must be differences. The society is different, the culture is different. Set an example of your own. Give an example of your own, referring to the major differences between local and international training, like we said before. Will it be the same or will it different from local to international? And this is another point. Okay. What do we mean by the word culture shock? And most of us hear this word, culture shock. Well, culture shock, in very simple words, it means the adaptability, how far the adaptability between your culture and the new culture which came to you. It causes pain. It is a panic. Yes, sometimes it's a panic. Why? Because it leads to a stress inside you between your origin culture and the one you practice now when you work internationally. If you work, as example, if you are an Indian and you want to work in England, you are used to the Indian traditions and customs and this and that. And when you go to India, you will find a lot of differences between the Indian culture and the British culture. Okay? So, those differences, how you will overcome it? Will it be obstacle for you, a barrier, or it will help you? Or you'll be washed with the new culture. This is the point in the host country. Anyhow, ongoing stress and unhappiness due to the inability to adopt a new way of life in a foreign country. So, if you are very frustrated with the new culture and you didn't try to cope with it, and your endeavors was ended in a failure in fitting yourself with the new culture which you came to, in that case, we call this culture shock. Question: watch the following video about the culture shock and answer in between you and yourself in written, like if you want to take a notes. What do we mean by the culture shock? What are the reasons for the culture shock? Give an example of your own regarding culture shock. Give an example. Something happened to you and you felt from it. What is the meaning of the culture shock? Something happened to you. You can give example. Apply this on yourself. Let's go to the video and see it. And after this, we'll go back to our class, to this presentation. Here we go.
Culture shock. Now, the feeling of disorientation experienced by someone who is suddenly subjected to an unfamiliar culture, way of life, or set of attitudes.
It's some gnarly stuff. And even after traveling the world, culture shock hits you like a freight train sometimes.
We're here with some real talk about culture shock and our tried and true survival methods for when it hits.
Because it will.
But luckily for you, with our help, it won't hit quite so hard.
And when it does, you'll bounce back to rock the rest of your time abroad.
Culture shock will hit everyone a little differently. But generally, there are four main stages involved. How hard each stage hits you, when each stage hits you, and the order in which you experience all of this will vary. It's a bit of a roller coaster, but that's all part of the adventure, right?
Stage 1, the honeymoon stage.
This is exactly what it sounds like. You're in love.
It's kind of like Every Day is that song from the Lego movie, like, everything is awesome, everything is cool when you're part of a team. Like, that's kind of your life.
You're infatuated with the language, with the culture, the food, the people. The sky is bluer, the sun is brighter.
Stage 2, the frustration stage. Everything hurts. You're tired and you may or may not be dying.
That high you were riding in the honeymoon stage is over.
OVER.
Don't understand anything because of the language barrier. And all you want is a Chipotle burrito with extra guacamole, and it's nowhere to be found.
This feels like the stage that never ends. It just kind of hangs out with you and will randomly show back up over the course of your experience. You never quite know when.
This is when you might start feeling a little homesick and a lot like you're resenting your decision to go abroad, especially if you've been at this a while.
3, adjustment stage. This is just life now.
Navigating public transportation is getting easier. You can actually make small talk with vendors at the fruit market, and you're starting to feel a part of the community.
It's all back on the up and up. Everything's coming up you. And finally, the acceptance stage.
This is life abroad. You have a routine now. And even though you may not understand everything,
Or even like everything. Like, seriously, people eat chicken feet? That's a thing.
you have arrived at a new normal. It's not weird, it's different. And you may even find yourself adopting some new habits and tastes.
How we survived. I promise you, you will. Everyone does. It's all temporary.
One thing I found most helpful was telling myself to do at least one difficult, preferably social thing per day. On hard days, that was just buying groceries. But other days, it was expat meetups or a dinner out with my coworkers. The best way to survive culture shock is to have other people who are experiencing the exact same thing.
Talk to your friends in your program. Talk to your local coordinator. Talk to anybody who's sharing that experience with you. Because they can truly empathize.
Remember to take time for yourself.
Read, journal, go for a run, and if you need it, maybe even indulge in a little Parks and Rec.
Something that really helped me was to have my own blog. So this way I was able to keep in contact with my family.
But also, disconnect sometimes to make sure that you're really present in your experience abroad.
The sooner you accept how different everything is, the sooner you will find the parts of your new location that feel like they are really home.
Culture shock is one of those things that when you're in the moment, it feels like it's never gonna end. But as soon as you're out of it, you realize you've learned so much about yourself. And you really will survive, I promise. I've been through it many times.
It's something you need to learn to love, and you will love it.
Thank you for watching, guys. And you saw it's not a hurt, it's a change in habits. When you move from a country to another country, it's a kind of a change for your habits, but it's not a kind of hurt. So, international performance management now, what does it mean? International performance management, reviewing performance, who should do this, performance criteria, are they different locally than they are different internationally or no? Providing feedback. Also, you will give a feedback. Through the feedback, you will know you have to consider the differences between the local business firms and the international, and therefore human resource rules in both of them, locally and internationally. International rewards and recognitions. And this is another point. Compensation of host country employees. Okay, as example, I'm an Egyptian guy who's working in Egypt for a long time, who's been working in Egypt for a long time. If I have a company now in the United States, shall I give them the rewards based on Egypt, my homeland, or based on the United States, where the factories, the new factories, the multinational factories, of course, based on the United States, because there are difference in the power of the money. The Egyptian pound, $1 equals 15 Egyptian pounds. You can live with 200 Egyptian pounds in Egypt for 1 week, but you can't live with $200 in the United States for 1 week. So I will reward them if the factory, the Egyptian factory, a branch of it in the United States, I will never reward the workers based on Egypt. No, based on where they are working now on the United States or Canada as well. Compensation of host country managers. Yeah, of host country managers. See, the host country. Host means the one who receive, mean the one who's having the factory and the people now, not the origin or the mother or the home country. The home country is where you left, where you left, where you departed. The host country is where you are now. Compensation of expatriate employees. Expatriate means the foreigner. Expatriate means the foreigner. So you will give him his rewards based on where he is now. He is working internationally in another country. You will give him the rewards based on this country. Don't. I just want you to forget about what had been before in the past when you were in your back home. No, you won't reward him based on back home. No, you will reward him based on where he is now. Okay. So international labor relations, we will see here the role of unions. Of course, there is a role for unions. We talk about it in the previous chapter. And the collective bargaining, we talk about in the past chapter. Labor participation in management. Will it make a difference between the host country and the home country? Yes. Expect in the Western societies that you will find more participation in decision making. You will find a lot more in the ratio of the participation in decision making. Okay, we talk about the Hofstede model of culture. We said power distance. Power distance, or using the authority, the formal authority, is very high in the third world countries. Okay, it's very low in the countries like Europe, the United States, in the developing countries or the developed countries. Developed countries, they like the style of democracy in making decisions, which depend on the participation between the management and between the workers or the laborers. Laborers are the workers. Also, we have some overall considerations regarding these points. International human resource involve complex and multifaceted process. Of course, when you work internationally with a high level of technology, a high level of or multi or different ethnics and different cultures all together in one place, in one workplace, the change in economical situation, the change in social situation, the change in culture between your country and the host country and the home country, all this make the complications more and more, and the decision taking is very tough and very hard internationally. It's very hard decision. Okay, complex and multi. Okay, customization required. So wherever you are, either whatever the host country, you have to customize yourself based on the culture and the variables, the economical and social and the religious variables of the country which you are in now to custom decision, the system of the rewards, the system of the decision making. All this will be custom based on where you are now. As long as you are not in your local country, so you have to take all these considerations together in decision making. Vigilant to employee engagement in a global context. Emphasis on talent management. Yes, uh, yes, that's true. Because you will focus on the talent management when you work abroad or when you work multinationally or internationally. Uh, you will have people who are talented and having a very good new ideas. And when you sit and brainstorm them, they give you more ideas because they are open minded more and they work in different places and they have a lot of experiences. That's why. Let's see this page. International human resource involves complex and multifaceted uh, process. Comment on the above sentence using examples, but use the examples of your own. Please, I want you not to copy and paste, not to take the question and put it in your browser and just copy and paste. No, I want you to make your mind. What are the difference between the local and the international business? How this will affect? It will be affected with what variables and the type, the style of culture, and blah 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 blah. So I want you here when you talk here to think, not to copy and paste, because you won't send me the answer of the question. It might be important question, maybe yes, but in the same time, I want you to train yourself in how to think, how to use this science when you have a case study, when you need to think how to use it. At the end of this lecture, let us memorize without looking in our notes what we talk about today. What are the main points did we discuss today? Okay. I want you just write it down, take a notes, and whatever you forgot, ask your peer, your colleague, or open the books, open the ebook, open the slides, watch more videos, and write the answer based on what you came to learn. At the end of this class, thank you all so much and wish you a very good night and take care of yourself. Thank you and see you in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye.